How we doing, everybody? Nothing really big or exciting happening today in B5 world, I don't think. I mean, it's just a normal every day where a new animated movie gets announced and then we get more information on it. It's kind of exciting. So I'm Scott from Gray 17 and I'm waiting. Yeah, there's my audio. Cool. So welcome everybody to, I think, is the biggest month for Babylon 5 in over 20 years, okay? I remember back in the early 2000s, I was a young lad in college, and we were talking about the movie that JMS was working on, The Legacy of the Shadows, I think it was called, and nothing ever happened about it. And we haven't had anything since. I mean, we've got some... we've got re-releases of the show and all of that, but since The Lost Tales, we have had no B5 material since then. We have been in the dark ages, my friends. Well, that ended last week. Now, if you are a member of JMS's Patreon, you would have known for a while that there has been a secret project that was completed in October of 2021. And that project has been teased by JMS forever. And finally, the world knows what it is. B5 animated movie. And now, as of 25 minutes ago, we have a title. The Return Home. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get a couple questions out of the way about what this is, and then I'm literally just going to read you the Hollywood Reporter article, and then we can go ahead and all of us can discuss. We got 13 people in here already. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get going here. Please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, notify button. We've also got another live coming out in 2 days, which is going to be more exciting now that we have some more information, where the League of Non-Aligned Podcasts, including us at Gray 17, B5 for the first time, the Babylon Project, Who Are You podcast, Yum Yum, Medusa Cascade's going to join us for the first time, Mega Reacts, the Gray Sector Pod, and I'm sure I'm missing some folks, but we're all going to get together and we're going to talk about this news. So be sure to click that notify button so you know when we go live again. So I got a couple questions in the chat already. First off, we have... Oh, I forgot that there was a movie coming out. Let's see here. And that one, there you go. There it is. Bill says, oh, right, I forgot. There was an animated movie happening. A bit odd. You would have thought they could have used something live action. Well, remember, Bill, that unfortunately, unlike Trek, we just had Star Trek Picard Season 3, which was a swan song for the TNG cast. Unfortunately for Babylon 5, as we all know, we've lost a lot of people on the way. They've gone beyond the rim. So, unfortunately, it's going to be hard to do a live-action piece. For one, the cost. Babylon 5 has never had the budget that Trek has had. But also, there's a lot of people we've lost along the way, and I don't see them doing a live-action thing without Delenn, Jakar, Franklin, Veer, Garibaldi. I don't see him doing that. So this is the best way to get our old crew back together one last time. And as JMS has said, I think it was on his Patreon, but I don't think I'm going to get in trouble because at this point, I think he's put it out there in public too. Warner Brothers came to him. This was not his idea. Well, I mean, it's his idea. He wrote it. But Warner Brothers came to him and said, hey, how would you like to do an animated movie? And as JMS said, he signed the contract as soon as he possibly could. So Warner's was interested in doing an animated movie. I bet you part of that came from what Paramount is getting in terms of fan reaction from Lower Decks and Prodigy. And just to Lindsay's point here, it's probably easier to make an animated movie. And I think it is too. And well, by the way, we've got our first piece of animation, I believe, in that Hollywood Reporter article. And I'll pull it up here right now so you can take a look at it. Check out that beautiful station. Now, it looks to me like it's a kind of a cel-shaded CGI look, but I don't know for sure. We don't have a trailer yet. We don't have anything yet, but this actually was tagged on the Hollywood Reporter article as a still from the movie. Look at that station. That is the first non-fan-made station picture we have gotten in over 2 decades. And she looks freaking beautiful. So, let's see what else we got in the chat here real quick before I get going. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Joey. The movie from... that's not the right Joey one, but same old, I know. The movie was, yes, The Memory of the Shadows, not The Legacy of the Shadows, The Memory of the Shadows. JMS wrote it back in the early 2000s. It was going to be a thing, and then it wasn't a thing, but that was the last time. And, Bill, you do spot Optimus Prime. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. I'm looking forward to Rise of the Beast because it actually has the real Optimus Prime, not Murderbot from the Bayverse. Let's see what else we got here. Well, Bill says, so it would have to be set up before B5 blew up. And by the way, guys, spoiler warning, my newbies will not be watching this. And if you haven't watched all of B5 yet, we're going to be talking spoilers, so steer clear. But it would have to be before B5 blew up and JMS turned the lights off. Well, that's actually talked about in the article, so give me a second and we'll talk about it. Can you tell that I'm a little excited, guys? I mean, when I started this podcast with my team about almost a year ago now, we talked about how, hey, there may be a reboot, but really, what's this talk about the old show? Did I ever think that I would be working on this podcast when there is a brand new B5 movie coming out? No, I did not. Yeah, and Bill says, wait, wasn't The Lost Tales just 2 episodes? Yes, it was, but the original plan from JMS was to keep that going to be an anthology, and that was just the first 2 stories, but it kind of flopped. Kenneth says, I'm happy this is happening. I am too. And then Phil says, time travel story should make with David. Well, let's dive in. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do, guys. I am going to use my docile tones, and I'm going to read to you the article from the Hollywood Reporter. And once I'm done reading it, we will discuss in full. So here we go. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, and I'm going to... no, I'm not going to. This is Babylon 5, The Road Home. Voice cast unveiled. Exclusive. And we knew this was coming. JMS had hinted that there would be more news coming from Warner's today, and it looks like Hollywood Reporter got the exclusive. And the tagline is, J. Michael Straczynski's project brings back the original stars, as well as new additions. And it goes, a week ago, Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski revealed that a new animated film from the franchise was in the works, and now more details are coming to the surface. Babylon 5, The Road Home, will continue the story he started in the 1990s with a logline stating, travel across the galaxy with John Sheridan as he unexpectedly finds himself transported through multiple timelines and alternate realities in a quest to find his way back home. Along the way, he reunites with some familiar faces while discovering cosmic new revelations about the history, purpose, and meaning of the universe. Returning Babylon 5 cast members include Bruce Boxleitner as John Sheridan, Claudia Christian as Susan Ivanova, Peter Jurassic as Londo Mollari, Bill Mumy as Lanier, Tracy Scoggins as Elizabeth Lockley. I've always been a Lockley fan. I love Lockley. Not as much as Ivanova, but I love Lockley. And Patricia Tallman as Lita Alexander. Straczynski wrote the film and executive produced. Matt Peters, known for Batman and Superman Battle of the Super Sons, directs, with Rick Morales serving as supervising producer. Sam Register is the executive producer on the project. I haven't watched Batman and Superman Battle of the Super Sons. I'm not a real big Warner Brothers DC guy, but if you've seen it, put in the chat. What do you think about it? Because this is the guy directing. The voice cast also includes, here we go. Guys, you ready for this? You ready for this? This one made my hair stand on end when I read it. The voice cast also includes Paul Giat as Zathras and Jeffrey Sinclair, Anthony Hansen as Michael Garibaldi, Mara Jeanette as reporter and computer voice, Phil Lamar as Dr. Stephen Franklin, Piotr Michael as David Sheridan, yes, that David Sheridan, Andrew Margotto as Shakar, and Rebecca Ridley as Reedy as Delenn. Babylon 5 began life as a film that aired in TV in 1993, and the ratings were strong enough that Warner's ordered a series that ran 5 seasons and 110 episodes. Well, that's the nice way of putting it. It barely got itself to a 5th season. Thank you, TNT. Straczynski has continued expanding the story of Babylon 5, a 5-mile-long space station seen as neutral ground for various alien species to interact amid the backdrop of the threat of war. It spawned multiple feature-length TV films, comics, and novels, as well as spin-off series Crusade. Warner Brothers Animation and Warner Brothers Discovery Home Entertainment are plotting a summer release. That's the thing, too. JMS has said this is in the can. This is not like in production. They're still working on it. This is completely done. He filmed a commentary track with Bruce Boxleitner a few months ago. It is done. Straczynski has plugged the new film with words such as raucous, heartfelt, and nonstop, and called it a love letter to the fans. End of article. Holy crap. Okay, let's dig in. You guys are definitely filling up the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure again to hit that like and share button. Let's get some more people in here discussing. Okay, so Joey says, I'm curious about this time travel aspect. B5 was very conservative with time travel during the series. It absolutely was. We only really dealt with time travel, once over 3 episodes. But we got Zathras coming back, and we got Jeffrey Sinclair coming back. So here, we're going to go through the chat a little bit more, and I'll tell you my thoughts. And again, I have no inside information. I'm not special. But I have thoughts. So, Movie Scene, a Science Review says, Babylon Leap? I'd pay money for that. I'm a Quantum Leap fan, both old and new. I paid for money for that. Lindsay says, I'm curious to hear the recast voices of Franklin and Jakar. Hopefully they're close enough. I think so. I think the one thing JMS has said, though, when he's talking about the reboot, and we'll talk about the reboot here in a little bit, too, is he wants the new actors to come in and make the characters their own, too. So I could see it go both ways. I could see them being basically just, doing an impression of the former actors who have passed, or they could be doing something new. We'll see. And then also Lindsay says, very excited to finally see David. Yes, we've never seen David. We heard about David in the show. We heard about David in the Lost Tales, but we've never seen David Sheridan, son of John and Delenn. Now, in the original plan for B5, which our guys actually recorded an episode about this and we just haven't released it yet, but in the original 5-year plan for B5, David was going to be a much more impactful character in the plan. He was actually going to be one of the main characters going into the later seasons and into a different Babylon 5 spinoff. But we never got that. We never got David. Yeah, Movie Science says some recast. Yeah, I think that is interesting, but I think it's the way to go. I think this is going to, look at the title, The Return Home. This is a swan song. This is what we didn't get. This is our character. Well, we did get it with Sleeping in Light, but this is what we haven't seen, is all of the characters we love back one more time. And unfortunately, again, we can't get some of those actors back, but this is the next best thing, I think. Oh, and JP, yeah, I can't wait for a trailer. I was actually hoping for a trailer today. The way JMS was kind of hinting at things, I figured there would be a trailer. And you know what? The day is still young. So maybe Hollywood Reporter got the exclusive on the story and maybe somebody else has got the trailer. Or maybe Warner Brothers is going to drop it another day. They're not going to wait for San Diego Comic-Con. That was the original plan. The original plan was they were going to release all of this in San Diego Comic-Con in about a month or month and a half. That's not happening now because they want to push this sucker out fast. And I think, and again, no inside information. I'm not that guy. But I think the reason why they're pushing this sucker so fast is, one, the writer's strike, so they can get it out because it's already done and it gets Warner some money. But I think this is a test balloon for our reboot. And we'll get into that in a minute. Phil, love Lockley and thought her Lost Tales episode was very good. I did too. The Lost Tales was a little chintzy, but that's not the fault of the actors or the writers. That is the fault of it had little or no budget. They probably had less budget than I do working here with OBS on my screen. So I don't blame him for Lost Tales. Joey says, I was expecting recast. I was as well, too. Movie says GMS once said he wouldn't do recast, but I guess animation is an exception. Well, he's going to recast for the reboot too. I think GMS, like anybody, has evolved over the years. I mean, the man has been around for 70 plus years, and our ideas change, thoughts change. And I know for a fact he'll be recasting for the reboot because we know that at least John Sheridan's in the reboot because that was part of the press release back in the day. Joey says, I hope they did a good balance between sounding familiar but not trying to do an impression of the original cast. I agree. I don't want anyone to ape any of those characters, Michael O'Hare or anybody like that, but or Zathras for that matter. The same voice actors doing Zathras and Sinclair. That's going to be interesting. Bill says, where's Bester? Because Walter Koenig is still alive. You know what? Sometimes we don't get all the information before we get all the information. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know Walter Koenig was going to show up in Picard until he did as his voice. And I think Walter would be an amazing addition. But also, I think it depends on the story. If Bester shows up, Bester shows up. I hope he does. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. I haven't watched Samurai Jack. I was not a 90s cartoon kid, but Phil Lamar, I guess, is from Samurai Jack and doing Franklin. That's cool. Yeah, TN, with all the cast that's no longer with us, is definitely easier to recast for animation. Completely agree. And with the reboot, it's not going to matter because everyone's going to be recast. But when you want to get some of the cast back together for this swan song, I'm going to call it, then you've got to find a way to make it as close as possible with who you have. Utopian asks, has there been announcements on if the animation movie will be released to theaters or streaming services? No announcement on that yet. Somebody asked JMS, will there be physical media? And he did his little JMS, I'm not going to tell you thing on Twitter. But my assumption, and again, it's just an assumption, guys. I have no information. I'm sitting here in my little office and I got nothing. But my assumption is it'll probably be streaming service. I would guess Max or HBO Max, whatever you call it. But I'm also going to guess digital media as well, too. That's my guess. I'm going to guess we're going to get a Blu-ray, which, by the way, would be the first B5 Blu-ray we've ever gotten. Let's see. I'm reading through your comments here. Yeah, the Sheridan Lost Tale was really good as well. I think both the Lost Tales were fine. I just think people came into that thinking we're going to get new B5, and when it was a whole bunch of people, well, not even a whole bunch of people, a very small cast shot on green screen, it rubbed people the wrong way. But I think for what it was, if you didn't set your bar too high, I think it was good. I don't think Tracy Scoggins has been very active lately in TV or movies. I don't know, TN. I don't keep track of that kind of stuff, but maybe. Oh, no, Matthew Gideon. Well, again, not everyone is going to be listed on the press release. I bet you we're going to have some cameos. I would bet you we're going to have some cameos. Space Champion asks, weren't we supposed to know what the platform was? JMS didn't say what was going to happen the day. He just said more information was coming from Warner's. That's all he said. So no one officially has said we're going to learn about the platform on this day. No one has said we're going to get a trailer on that date. They have not done any of that. JMS just said, hey, May 10th, you're going to get more information. That's all he said. Joey says, my gut says limited theatrical release and then streaming shortly thereafter. That would be cool. I'm not gonna get on the theater train. I'm looking at how Warner's does their DC animated stuff. Okay, I don't watch the DC animated stuff too much. I've watched a couple of them, and I really honestly just haven't been impressed. But those come out to theater. Those come out to streaming and into hard media. So I think that's what's going to happen here too. I bet you it's the same kind of idea. Okay, and Bill, you're finally getting some of the stuff I want to talk about. So it's an Elseworlds kind of story for those who are DC fans. Makes me wonder what other realities they'll go to, like Star Wars, Star Trek, or something else. Well, I don't think they're going to jump IPs, but that is a very, very good point, Bill. And that's what I want to talk about here with you all. And that is that I believe this is going to hop around all over the place. I think, again, my fan theory, this is going to take place after season 5, but before Sleeping in Light. So you're going to have John Sheridan as president of the Alliance, And he is going to, for one reason or another, be contacted by Zathras and the Great Machine and told, hey, something's up, something is going on, we need to figure it out. And then we're going to start time jumping. And that's how we're going to get some of our characters, because when Bill Mooney on his Facebook page announced he was a part of the cast, I was like, okay, well, then it's not after season 5, because as we all know, Bill's Lanier is character assassinated in season 5. I'll talk about when we get to season 5 on our podcast. I'm not a fan. But then I was thinking, well, maybe this is a redemption story for Lanier. Now it sounds like we're just going to be bouncing around. So it sounds like, hey, Sheridan may pop up in season 1 and meet Jeffrey Sinclair. Or maybe he'll pop up in season 4 and deal with the Civil War or whatever. But we get to bounce around, and it's the secrets of the universe. So who knows? Maybe Sheridan goes back and sees the original Shadow Vorlon War. There's a lot of opportunities here. But here's the thing that I think is interesting. Actually, Blake on our team, who can't be on right now, mentioned this to me first, so I want to give him credit. He sees this as a backdoor to the reboot. This is how you get to a reboot, guys. You start entering in, and what was said in the chat earlier was B5 hasn't really dealt with time travel that much. Now we're talking multiverses here. And I know multiverses are being done to death by Marvel and DC right now, but hear me out. We're talking about multiverses now. So with that, you could have a Kelvin timeline thing a la Star Trek and Sheridan go back and change something. And it causes a splinter timeline. And now we're in a new B5 universe that happens to be airing on whatever streaming service in 2024. So I think this is a possibility where JMS can lay the groundwork for what the reboot will be. And by the way, I am still 100% reboots happening. JMS has put out so much information publicly, not Patreon, I'm not talking about that, publicly, that tells me reboot's happening. He has said that there's a lot of interest. He has obviously written the pilot because he did that for CW about 1.5 years ago. And now he is saying that everything's on hold for the writer's strike. And he hasn't said that it's dead. He said it's on hold for the writer's strike. So, and by the way, we here at Gray 17 fully support the WGA and all they're doing. So keep striking until those bastards pay you what you're owed. Let's go back to the chat here and see what we got going on. What do you all think about that? What do you think about this time travel, multiverse stuff? What's going on? Kenneth says kind of like a what if story from Marvel. Could be. Yeah, I think actually, I bet you John Sheridan and maybe even David are from our timeline, the quote unquote prime B5 1990s timeline. But everyone else, who knows? Bill, it's not Zathras. It's Zathras. You're right. Yeah, I got my Zathrases mixed up. I'm sorry. Take away my B5 podcasting card. I should know better by now that I should not mess up my Zathrai. And Joey's like, what if it's Zathras? I know. God, there's another one there too. Damn it. I keep screwing up on the Zathrases. Yeah, Lindsay says, I personally think it's after he's president. Oh, okay. So that time between when he retires and Sleepy in Light could very well be. I think it is going to be old Sheridan, though. I do think we're going to get older Sheridan. But I could be wrong. It could be Sheridan from Revelations, and he gets pulled out of time. I don't know. But I think it's probably going to be old Sheridan. Yeah, Movie Science is with me. Redemption for Lanier. That is... We'll get to it when we get to it, because our newbies just finished its season 2. And by the way, this Sunday night, or actually, I'm sorry, 2 Sunday nights from now, we're going to have our live season 2 recap. Again, click that notify button. But my biggest complaint about season 5 is how they did Lanier. I mean, yes, Lanier is a tragic character. His love was unrequited, but I think they could have handled that better than what they did with Lanier. I really do. Wasn't Sheridan Ranger 1 for a while after being president? I thought he and Dylan switched roles. Yeah, Dylan and him switch roles, but we don't know in the timeline when it's going to be. Yeah, and movie says JMS has a 20-year gap to fill, and I don't think we're going to fill the whole 20-year gap. I think this is going to be a looking back nostalgia, which is not a bad thing. I'm okay with nostalgia. But yeah, and then Joey says, yep, Lindsay, they did mention that in Sleeping in the Light that they switched roles. Remember, Delenn is the one that is, John Sheridan is the one that will be, and Jeffrey Sinclair is the one that was. Oh, there you go, Steven. If we're exploring multiple timelines, I wonder if Takashima would come back. And by the way, I love the Figment icon. I am a huge Figment fan. Yeah, we could have people coming back that we haven't seen in a long time, folks. A long time, especially if they're... I mean, now, the actor who played Takashima is very much still active and working. But hear me out. If we couldn't get that actor, we've already recast some of the voices, so why not recast more? So I think there's going to be a lot of cameos. I would love to see Walter Koenig as Bester. And Walter and Koenig and JMS are good friends, so that's a very big possibility. I would love to see Takashima back. I mean, I would love to see anyone and everyone back. Remember, if we are talking about a timeline that's after Season 5, Kosh is dead. I'd love to see Kosh back. The real Kosh, not Kosh 2.0. Phil says, I had a massive theory about David. Hope we find out more. Well, share the massive theory, David. You can't, or Phil, you can't leave us hanging. What's your massive theory? Yeah, TN, I think that's a key point there too. This is a trial balloon. It's great that we're getting it. And if it's the only thing we get, if we find out tomorrow reboot's not happening, I am so freaking happy that we are getting new Babylon 5 20 some odd years later. I am just over the moon. I will be a happy camper and I'm good. But I think this is all a trial balloon. I think this is Warner saying, let's see if this franchise has got some gas in it. And if we as fans go out and we purchase this sucker, watch this sucker, then I think Babylon 5 is going to have a new golden era coming under the control of JMS, which is the most important part. Some reboots have different lead writers, and you get what you get. But this is the original guy wanting to go back and tell a different story in his universe, and I'm 100% okay with that. Joey said, I like to have Sheridan with a gray full beard. Hey, you know, I'm a fan of the beards. I'm good. I'm maybe good. Bill says, hey, we could see Babylon 1, 2, 3, and 4. Could be. Could be. For all we know, Zathras shows up in B4 and says, hop in, dude. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Joey, Dr. Kyle. Hey, we could have Dr. Kyle back. We could all go all the way back to Valen and see what happens. We could go back, and maybe Jeffrey Sinclair is not Jeffrey Sinclair, if you know what I mean. And Movie Science, in his best Kosh voice, goes, yes. Space, that is the quote right there. I'm going to steal that. We are the Pebbles, and we need to vote for the Avalanche. Oh, Zakar, I would love to get book reprints. I've been trying to get those suckers. And by the way, if anyone has a line on all the books, gray17podcast@gmail.com. I love it. I have a few that I've gotten through extra legal means, but I would love to have the set so we can actually have a conversation about those books as well, too. So, what else do you guys think? This is huge. We've got 34 people in here. Thank you so much. And only 14 likes, so click that like button. What else do you guys want to see? What do you want to see on this animated movie? Tell me. What are some stuff that you're looking for? Let's see here. We got Martin says, could be set when he was unstuck in time. Oh, that's a good point. Ooh, Martin. Ooh, you've got my head spinning now. What if this is based on War Without End? And while Sheridan is bouncing around, he actually does more bouncing than we thought he did. And it kind of turns into, and hear me out, I'm not a big fan of Enterprise's finale. These are the voyages. But it turns into like when we had some extra time in the episode Pegasus where Riker's bouncing around the holodeck. What if this all takes place during War Without End and he bounces around? And that's also interesting, too, because if that's the case, when he meets David, because we know David's in the show, he won't know who David is. Ooh. That could be fun. TN says, I'm not getting their B5 books because they're precious. I understand. To Dream in the City of Sorrow was such a great book. I have not read it. I need to. Yes, Joey, that's it. I'm with Martin. I'm on Team Martin right now. That's it. That B5 has never really done much time travel stories, and now we can keep it to the one time we did. It keeps bouncing around in this one time that we had enough tachyons that move B4. David asks, have they released the runtime yet? I hope it's about 2 hours. We have not heard anything about runtime, but I will say this. Based on my little knowledge of what Warner's Media usually does, and somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but all the DC Warner animated stuff I've seen has usually clocked in about 90 minutes to an hour 45. So I'm just going to guess that we're probably going to get that. Feature length, it's a movie, so it's got to be at least 90 minutes, but I'm going to guess it tops out at 145. Just my guess. So, what else we got, guys? This is... I keep saying the same thing because I'm just so much in awe about what we have going here, and that is we are getting new stuff. We're getting a new movie. That is amazing to me. What else do you guys want to see? Let's keep this going. What do you want to see in the animated movie that you're hopeful for? Or does anyone have any inside information that I don't have that wants to share? Anyone work in the animation bay? Maybe. Let's see here. Catherine is also jumping on Team Martin. Martin, you won the night, man. I think that's the story right there. I'm putting that in my headcanon right now. And then Kenneth, do you think it's possible that he might see the parallel universe where the shadows attack early and destroy B5? We saw a glimpse of it in flashes that Garibaldi, Sinclair, and Ivanova had. That would be cool. That's one of those unanswered questions. I know they're alluded to kind of in season 5 and all of that, but that is one of those that just didn't really pop up. Yes, and JP, I would love an appearance by Marcus. He was one of my favorites. I would love an appearance from Marcus too. Unfortunately, the actor who played him, Jason Carter, I know his last name's Carter. I think his first name's Jason. His admin for his Facebook page, because if you've read into what's been happening with him over the years, his admin for his Facebook page was speaking on his behalf and said that he was not a part of this. Doesn't mean that Marcus may get a new voice actor and show up, but Carter will not be a part of that. Steven, I want a longer movie too. I completely agree. But I will not complain if it comes in at 90 minutes and it's great. Now, if it comes in at 2 hours and it's great, even better. But I will not complain if it's good. Space Champion, we heard a few days ago, Across the Spider-Verse, the new Spider-Man movie, which, by the way, Miles Morales is better than Peter Parker. I will stand behind that. Is the longest anime movie ever at 2 hours and 20 minutes. TRH will be shorter, I assume. Oh, yeah, 100% shorter. I don't think it goes over 2 hours if we're lucky. Joey, I hope we get a poignant monologue or two. Yeah, it's JMS. We're going to get some monologuing. That's what he's good at. Steve, don't be like MCU DC. Well, I mean, it's debatable if it's good or not. I have not been a big fan of Phase 4 of MCU, but I am a Marvel fanboy, so I got Cap and He-Man right over there, and I got Cap up there too. So maybe we'll see Epsilon 3. Yeah, I bet you we do. You don't have Zathras without Epsilon 3, right? Martin's just basking in the glory that is, I had a good idea. Eat it up, Martin. Eat it up. Can we maybe see a reverse roles of the Vorlons and the Shadows? That could be. And then Sokar says, go back to what Sakash was preparing the Vicar for with Talia. Hey, I think anything's fair game since we're now talking time travel. Anything's fair game. Bill, imagine one of the times when they met Optimus Prime. As long as it's good Optimus Prime and not Bayverse Psycho Murderbot Optimus, I'll be fine. But if it's Psycho Murderbot Optimus, which is not really Optimus Prime, I'll check out. Thanks. I'll check out. Okay, guys, before we wrap up, anything else you want to talk about? Any ideas, any thoughts, anything, final thoughts? And again, before you all leave, remember, this Friday, so a little bit under 24 hours from now, or 48 hours from now, we are gathering the League of Non-Aligned Podcasts, and we are going to be talking about this. And I'm sure our buddies over at all these other podcasts have some great stuff to discuss. And I'm really excited again. It's on their calendars, so I think they're going to be here. We're going to have some new members of the League, including Medusa and Mega from YouTube and a few others as well, too. So it's going to be a full house, and it's going to be a really good conversation about what this means for Babylon 5 and what we want to see in this animated movie. And then in a little under 2 weeks, our podcast will be back live to discuss our Season 2 recap. And we just dropped today, Comes the Inquisitor, which, if you ever wanted to hear our newbies try to redeem Jack the Ripper, I mean, that's your episode right there. And then next week we'll be dropping The Fall of Night, and then we will be talking Season 2. And then a week later, we're already in Season 3. So if you have not joined us yet on this rewatch of Babylon 5 with our newbies and our first ones, now's a great time to jump in because we're about ready to hit full steam ahead into Season 3. And then, let's see, we got some more stuff in the chat real quick. Bill asks, what if at the end of the credits they tease the reboot? I don't know about that. For one, the reboot's still not confirmed, and this has been in the can for a while, but you know what? It sure would be fun, wouldn't it? And yes, Joey, the reboot would be live action. That is absolutely a given. It will be a reboot that is live action. But that being said, JMS has said that if the return home goes well, it does not mean that that's the last animated movie we'll get. So, I mean, they got the assets now, too. I mean, look at that again. I'll pull it up again. Look at that beautiful, beautiful animated Babylon 5. They've got the assets now. That means they can make some movies even cheaper than what they did this one. So hopefully this is the first of many animated features. That's my hope. Let's see. TN, I'm about 10 episodes into Season 3 because I paused for you in B5 for the first time to catch up. Yeah, I've actually gone out of my way not to watch it again. So the last time I did a full rewatch of Babylon 5 was 2019. And I am not rewatching, or I'm not binging it because I want to watch it with the newbies, which I got to tell you, it's been an experience. This is the first time I've actually watched Babylon 5 week to week since 1997, 98. And it's been fun to not binge. Now, when I get to Season 3 and 4, I'm going to want to binge, but I'll be good. I'll be good. Movie Science says, no one has mentioned space battles. Can't wait to see them. Oh, I'm sure. B5 was never really about the space battles, but when they did them well. So I think that's going to happen. Imagine Sheridan pops onto a White Star during Point of No Return. That'd be cool. Catherine, this is out here, but if we are saying it is for the fans and a multiverse, do you think we might touch on some of the crazy fan fiction? I don't know. JMS, and rightfully so, is not a fan of mingling with fan fiction. He's not opposed to it. He's not going to tell you can't do it, but he is very, very cognizant about being sued. And so he makes it very clear on all his social medias that he does not want to hear stories from fans. Because then if he happens to do that story or do something that's close to that story, then he could get... somebody could tell him that they stole the story from him and so forth and so on. So I bet you he hasn't even read much of the fanfic. So I doubt that would happen, but I think it would be fun and cool. Codename, now what time would that be in Iowa? We are actually in central United States. So 8 p.m. our time, which is when we're going to be doing the live on Friday, is 8 p.m. your time. Codename, I'm originally from Illinois, so the Quad Cities. I know Iowa well. Kenneth, could be cool if Sheridan met Kosh on the Vorlon homeworld. Yeah, that would be cool. Let's see. Okay. Bill says, okay, music. Will they have the original theme or one of the later ones or maybe all? I think they're going to have the original theme, But I will say JMS has said that the original composer is in quasi-retirement because he was asked if the composer would come back for the reboot before we knew about the animated movie. And he said he was in quasi-retirement. That's Chris Frank. So Martin, to your point, I hope Chris Frank is involved with the music. Last thing JMS said publicly was that Chris Frank is retired. So I doubt that he would come back, but he's an amazing composer. And I actually think, and I told JMS this, and JMS agreed on his Twitter account a while back, that it'd be really nice if somebody could re-release all of Chris's work. What JMS said is Chris had a window where he could release the stuff on his own, and that's those CDs that you can still see popping up on eBay. But now Warner's owns all of that, and they would have to release it themselves. But that being said, Warner's owns all that music, so they can absolutely use it again for the anime movie. You saw JMS teased all this with the release of that golden B5 logo, with the gold outline. So I think this is kind of the same idea. We're gonna see some stuff that we know and love, but it's gonna be a little bit updated. So, but I'm sure we'll get the march. I'm a big fan of season 4's march. That's my favorite music, but any season's music is great. Let's see. Anything else for the good of the order before we get going here? Anything else? Let's see. Why isn't my chat updating? Please hold. Yeah, okay. So that's everything on the chat that I can see. So, it looks like I might just had an internet burp. That's cute. If you have anything else, throw it in the chat now. If not, we're going to go ahead and leave it here. But again, reminder that we will be talking live about the animated movie again this Friday, 8 p.m. U.S. Central Time. The link is actually on our main page, so you can find it there. In fact, let me just grab it for you all here. Give me one moment. Please hold. Please hold. I will grab it here. There it is. Okay, so you will be able to join myself, a lot of the Grey 17 fans, or hosts, as well as members of a lot of other Babylon 5 podcasts at the link I just put in the chat. And if you click on that, you can click the notify button, and it will let you know when we go live, but that will be Friday night, 8 p.m. U.S. Central. My friends in the European countries, that's going to be really late for you. I'm sorry, but we're in the United States. But it will be recorded too, so you'll be able to check it out later. And for those of you who like our audio podcast, it will be our audio podcast bonus episode next week as well. So you'll get on the audio too. Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there because it looks like my internet is freaking out. But it's been wonderful talking with you all. It's been great to talk about this animated movie with everybody. And I can't wait to continue to talk about this. And more importantly, I can't wait to see this sucker. It's going to be so much fun talking about this thing with you all. Again, new Babylon 5 for the first time in decades. Get excited, everybody. Thanks so much for everyone joining us. We really appreciate it. Click that like, subscribe, notify button. Check out our links down below. Join us on social media. And we will see you in, 36 hours to do this all again. Can't wait. Talk to you later, folks. Have a good one. And until I see you again, be good. Enjoy yourselves. And can't wait to be on B5 again. Have a good one.